Absolutely. Okay, we got a lot to talk about, so let's get into it. I kind of want to do a docu-series if there is anything later. If there's anything later that we can look at as far as a documentaries on the incarcerated firefighters in general. But yeah, updates. California wildfires are spreading and evacuations have been issued.
Coming forward and not knowing where they're
It's moving on both sides of that same hilltop, where on the one hand it's going into Brentwood, on the other hand it's going into Encino. It's pretty terrifying stuff. I know a lot of people that live on both sides of those.
Perish. So let's hope that is an indication that maybe a lot of people did heed the warnings and get out. But the fact that the numbers are so far, at least, as low as they are, is quite remarkable when you think about the scale and scope of these fires, and we say fires plural, that we've been dealing with in Southern California.
Well, Sheriff Luna did point out that the majority of the cases that they have
and
seen,
yeah, winds are going to pick up on Sunday, Monday again.
In the deaths, that these are people who had chosen not to evacuate. So a lot of the, even the personal stories that we have heard from some people who have tragically died, their family members had seen them prior to them evacuating themselves.
Oh, this is Vice. That from incarceration to firefighter.
At a moment's notice, and then after all was said and done, they asked crews to go back there, and unfortunately had ended in a very tragic way. Yeah. We're looking at this picture now, which actually looks a little better. I pause a little bit because it looks good, and then all of a sudden we see another loom up again.
This is a show about incarcerated firefighters? That's crazy.
And, just a beautiful sight when you see that bright red.
Yeah, here it's moving towards Brentwood as well. My old stomping grounds.
This is into putting out the fire. We saw a lot of smoke there, and then in an instant, they're able to put out a big chunk of the flames that could be racing towards homes.
And that has been the theme that we've seen in fire after fire since those initial two fires started on Tuesday in Palisades and Altadena. Initially, they couldn't fly because it was just too windy, and we saw the results of that. We also saw the lack of water on the ground that made things harder. But since then, we have seen really urgent, massive flare-ups that look incredibly threatening, and obviously this one got to property there. But we saw this in West Hills, we saw it in the Hollywood Hills, and we saw it really last night as the fire approached Mountain Gate and approached other parts of Mandeville Canyon, that they were able to stop it because of the air resources that they have. It is the most effective resources that they have, is what we've seen from the air. They can drop the most amount of water or Phos-Chek on really quickly, and they are effective, but unfortunately not for this particular homeowner here.
This graphic, oh my God, ain't no way. That's a penis.
This is the.
That's just a penis. Santa Ana winds pick up Saturday night into Sunday morning in Southern California, but possibly a strong wind event is coming early next week as the wildfires continue. It is crazy that, like, geographically, I don't know. I mean, I guess, like, the way that Los Angeles is located in between all these, like, mountains, those sorts of winds don't end up impacting, like, the greater metropolitan area is wild. Like, it just literally surrounds. Is just straight up punishing the valley, punishing all the way out to the water side on, like, Malibu and Pacific Palisades. Things could change, of course. Oh my God, Hemet, Mama, we made it, bro. This is the worst way to be recognized. This is the worst way to be recognized. What is this? You are the media now. 3:26 p.m. 1:10:25. Wait, what? I heard from my brother, a firefighter in Central Oregon, that 60 fire trucks in the state sent support to LA fires are being held up in Sacramento for emissions testing. They likely won't pass inspection and won't be able to help. What a joke. The Oregon strike teams arrived Thursday and are assigned to the Pacific Palisades fire. 11 of the teams began their assignments this AM. The teams are motivated, committed, and excited. What do you mean? Yeah, this guy is just stupid and wrong. What are you talking about? Is this the joke? Oh, the joke is that you are the media now, as in people just lie, and then those lies go super viral, and then, like, here you have left post just needs a few more likes before Elon. This is a crazy quote tweet. Yeah. It's so nutty, dude. It's so nutty. Look at this. Look. These guys are actually working on the ground already. This guy hours later is already, this guy hours after, they've already posted about it. Oh my God, Linda Yaccarino. Oregon sends 60 fire trucks to California. California won't let them into the state because California is unsure of emissions on the trucks. California is a joke. Get out while you can. We sent 75 fire engines. Your statement about our teams not being allowed into California is false. Our teams arrived yesterday and are working around the clock to help our neighbors. Dude, I'm telling you right now, these people they have to be doing this deliberately. They just straight up want you to not trust any real resources. I don't think this is incompetence. I think this has to be malicious, dude. It is so psychotic. It feels like we talk about TikTok, right? We talk about TikTok and how, like, the Chinese influence on TikTok is so pervasive and how this is terrifying for American national security. We have national security concerns. And it's like, but look at this. We're doing it to ourselves. We're doing it to ourselves with some of the wealthiest, most powerful individuals on the planet. Like, this is so insane, dude. How can people not recognize that this right here is terrifying? Okay? Virtually all the information that you get on Twitter about anything at this point, at least like the first 5 top performing posts, are just going to be straight up lies that right-wingers have just concocted. And now Facebook is like, yeah, we're going to fire our moderation team. Like, as though they have anything but just AI slop on there anyway, genuinely breaking the brains of all of your elderly family members, all your elderly relatives. But this has to be malicious. Yeah, finally, a community note arrives on the original post hours later, after it already had a couple million views and thousands of retweets. At 48,000 likes, it gets hit with a community note. And now a deletion and retraction, which I'll give him credit for doing more than many, but rings hollow after posting his brother, an Oregon fireman, just told him the trucks were being held up and claimed this was email from the chief confirming they're stuck in emissions inspection. Good morning, all. To chief. It's my understanding that the 60 apparatus that were sent to California are sitting in Sacramento waiting to be inspected. It is sad that there's not a better process to be able to render aid to those in need. I hope that Oregon is better prepared if the situation is ever reversed. Seems like it worked pretty well. No, could be faster, but the alternative is what exactly? Hank Green says, I cannot overemphasize how much of you are seeing a distorted version of reality in which the world is ruled by incompetence and evil if you see everything through the lens of Elon tweets rather than actually engaging with your community. This is so devastating. It's a larger point that I'm going to be talking about with Mark Zuckerberg as well and what these billionaires are doing. But it is genuinely shocking. I'm still kind of surprised Republicans still bother with ASL interpreters at the rallies and stuff. Seems like the kind of effeminate woke nonsense they'd have to rid themselves of. What is this? I'm sorry, but we have to stop with the ridiculous sign language interpreters who turn serious press conferences into a farce. There are closed captions on all broadcast channels and streaming services. No wild human gesticulators necessary. Oh my God. Oh my God. Christopher Rufo saw this and was like, yeah, it's time to eliminate disability access. Oh my God. That's amazing. They just have no policies. It's just purely making things worse. What a wild turn of events, man. Yeah, I saw this as well. Rogan's podcast used to be about comedy, martial arts, and conspiracies, and now it's just basically laundering the reputations of supervillains. Yeah, I 100% agree with this take. I've been very frustrated about this as well. I'm going to be talking about this in a little bit as well. But like, this man went from conspiracy theories that like sometimes are anti-government to basically having exclusively billionaire supervillain defense contractors, dude. And it's crazy because these are the people who think this is independent media. Like, his audience is comprised of so many normies, your coworkers, who are like, I don't trust mainstream news, brother. And there's like valid reasons not to trust certain narratives in mainstream news, okay? But it's crazy to me that those guys then go and listen to a conversation with a supervillain billionaire who is laundering his reputation in broad daylight by talking to Joe Rogan, someone that you like. And half the time they're also talking about, like, you know, defense contractor shit. It blows my mind. Like, what do you mean? If when CNN does interviews like this, you go, oh, what the hell? These guys love the elites. But when Joe Rogan does it, it's like, oh, no, he loves the elites in a cool way. I love this elite as well. It's just so, it's so annoying. It's so annoying. It's so, everything is so broken beyond a state of repair, you know? It's just, I don't know.
This has grown. Things have grown. Nothing has burned down in like a half a century.
Wow.
So there's so much vegetation, so much growth there. There's a lot of fuel to burn.
Sam Dubin, can you hear us now?
Yeah, Alex, you hear me?
I can, although I heard myself too, so I don't know if there's a way to. Anyways, we were talking
if
about.
You guys can hear me. I'm just going to start talking here.
Yeah.
So we're up here on Dirt Mulholland, which is a fire road up here in the Santa Monica Mountains. That right up there is just above Mandeville Canyon. That is the Nike missile site. It's a former missile site that was used in the Cold War, and now it is a park, and you have a lot of firefighters up there taking a stand. It looks like they were possibly able to protect it, and just below down here is Mandeville Canyon, and you can see the red from the drops these tankers have been making, and it's all white smoke right now, which is a very good thing. And then just below here is Mandeville Canyon, and where the fire currently is that is the Gardenland Fire Road. It's a fire road that goes from Mandeville Canyon, goes up to those power lines and up to Westridge, which is just up to the left here. But that's where the flame is right now. And then here is Mandeville Canyon, and you can see the homes down here in Mandeville Canyon. Looks okay right now. I don't know about the top part of it, but that is Mandeville Canyon right down there, and it looks okay at the bottom part so far. And then this is Mountain Gate up here, which is where Ed Laskos was live last night. And so far, the fire has not made its way there. There's a ton of firefighters there. And there's another trail. Let me just step back really quick. This is the Canyon Back Trail, and it's normally a very narrow trail, and the bulldozers have just come in and plowed it completely all the way to Mountain Gate. So you can see that they're taking a very, very hard stance here. More resources up here, but right before you guys...
From what I understand, by the way, at least like the people I've talked to, Gavin Newsom is very bad when it comes to, you know, eviscerating the homeless. That much I will always have smoke for him for. But as far as like funding firefighting at the state level, people don't have that much anger and resentment towards Gavin Newsom, for the record. So if you're looking at the Podjohn's interview with him, like, Gavin Newsom's mismanagement is not the major story in this situation, as much as it is a local problem, as much as it is a LA specific problem. Like, I would rather have smoke for Karen Bass than Gavin Newsom on this particular subject, even though he's obviously a magnet for this kind of hatred as well, because he's such a nationally known liberal figurehead. Obviously has a tendency to go on television and put himself out there like this. But as far as like adequate funding and adequate spending on CAL FIRE and like statewide initiatives, from what I understand, he actually greatly increased the spending on wildfire prevention and things of that nature at the state level. So overall, I think there are plenty of things that you can criticize Gavin Newsom for. There are plenty of things you can criticize him for, especially as it pertains to homelessness, especially as it pertains to his mighty pen that he uses specifically to veto so many initiatives that people vote for democratically, but never actually end up getting. This is not one of them. He's essentially being blamed for an uncontrollable firestorm that could have not been prevented no matter how much you fund the fire department. Yeah, I'll say it. I say it like this, and I did bring this up as well. Even with Karen Bass, like, as it pertains to the mismanagement that the LA fire department got, right? Additional management or additional funds, would it have been able to actually successfully combat this fire? I don't think so, right? Because it's such a natural disaster, right? Like it certainly would be better, okay? And there is absolutely anger and resentment that you can direct towards the local governance and the mismanagement in this process. But as far as funding initiatives and trying to figure out what went wrong here, as far as I understand, I don't think Gavin Newsom is as responsible. I mean, a lot of fires before this one were because he didn't enforce energy infrastructure maintenance. I don't think he's the biggest culprit for this specifically, though. There is also truth to that, for sure.
Them to get on the fire quickly. I mean, we think about the private firefighters during that first fire night on Tuesday night. There were blocks and blocks burning where there were no firefighters to be seen for hours, and that's part of the reason that this got to be as big and as bad as it was in terms of the devastation.
Yeah, not having enough firefighters in this situation is partially because we just don't have enough firefighters to deal with not one, not two, but three, and sometimes even four wildfires at 80-mile winds, okay? But the successful way to ensure that there is at least as much prevention as possible is to have a very well-funded fire department with enough hands, with enough trained individuals. I hate you communists so much. Yeah, this is the fault of communism and communists in general. Right. You're right.
So now that we have these curfews in the various fire zones, curfew in effect from 6 in the evening to 6 in the morning, we had those two press conferences this morning, and there were no reports of looting, although they were very serious about anyone who violated that curfew and was found walking around. A couple of arrests of people just seen walking around the area, and then they took them into custody, because in order to get into these areas, you really have to be very creative, because these checkpoints and security checkpoints are very tight. So
and we saw that yesterday in this area, especially in Pacific Palisades, on Sunset near Amalfi. They have these just long lineups of cars that are just waiting for hours to get into the neighborhood. I mean, people were telling our reporters last night they're waiting 6+ hours to try to get home. Yeah. And it is, I mean, it's frustrating for a lot of people to see that, and but then you get into these areas once you get in, and it's so stunning, right? To see the destruction up close.
Yeah, lots of folks having a tough time getting in too, because people escaped at a moment's notice, and they didn't have any of their ID. They don't have a property deed, anything that says that they actually live in the area. And unfortunately,
Why do 40-month subscribers do this? Did you see losers on Twitter celebrating because they thought your house burned down? Yes, they literally celebrated. They are Sam Hyde fans. They like a pedophile Nazi. Okay, they're fans of a pedophile Nazi. I love when those people cheer for my death and destruction. Okay, those are some of the worst people online. Why do you even bring that up as a 40-month subscriber is the question I have for you. Okay, yes, dude. Yes, people who genuinely love the work of a out and about pedophile Nazi despise me so much that they fantasize about my house burning down and celebrate it. Those people are my enemies, and I love that. Okay, the real question is, why are you, as a 40-month subscriber, bringing that up right now?
And frustration through all of this.
And everybody has a story.
Yeah.
And to everybody, their story is the most important story. And so, for if you're that individual and that's your life and that's impacting you, you want help immediately. Of course you do. And as somebody else says, well, I got my prescriptions, I got to get in there. And everybody's got their own thing. And when you think about the multiplying effect, Bob, of how many people are impacted at one time, how overwhelming that is for, frankly, our system of government services, which is not exactly known for working so great for people, and not exactly known for its customer service track record. And now to have this overflowing of the system is really overwhelming. And I think part of the challenge in the days ahead, you think of day one, day two, we're in crisis mode. Everybody's very forgiving and understanding. We start getting into day 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 4.
The longest dead-end road in Los Angeles. We got that little fact from our Josh Haskell this morning. Look at how this road goes right along the burn area. I'm going to go all the way up to the dead end here. You can then understand why this area is under evacuation.
Do you still talk to Alex sometimes?
Of the burn zone,
he always wants me to go on a show, but I never have time.
And earlier this morning, if I zoom in here, is where a home burned. Just off of Mandeville Canyon to the west side, up in this area, is where we lost a structure. All of it, again, west of the 405 freeway, west of the Mountain Gate community. For those of people interested, here is where the Getty is located, right there off the 405. Maybe gives you some perspective of what we're looking at, what's at risk this morning as this fire continues to burn. Our coverage continuing right now with reporter Kevin Ozebek, who is in the Brentwood.
Alex is the host of Fox 11 that you can hear
back into the
speaking right now.
We've got serious winds coming tonight, right?
Yeah, they're still forecast to come and get a little bit stronger, much stronger than what they are now. We've been kind of fortunate when we've been talking about the winds, and we got a little bit of a break, right, from last night to this morning. Really, we've been seeing these winds nearing 10 to 20 miles an hour. Wind gusts a little bit stronger at times, and we've been talking about these pockets where the winds are a little bit stronger. And one of those pockets include that Mandeville Canyon area where things are a little bit gustier. And of course, we talk about how the fire will create its own wind and can get more erratic and get stronger in that area. But because the winds have been 20, 30, 40 mile per hour wind gusts at times, very easily one of those embers from the fires can get carried downwind, and I think that's what happened there with that home. Unfortunately, that burned in Mandeville Canyon. Looking elsewhere, just a quick pan around Orange County. Lighter winds here. We've got some of the brightly colored areas here through parts of the Inland Empire, Corona, specifically 18 to 20 miles an hour.
All right, this is the Brentwood Canyon
He's
part.
been standing there in position, ready to go, and he just decided, hey, those flames down right below, they're getting a little too close for comfort as they go up the hill, so he decided to take action, and we can see him now just dumping so much water over there. And a good sign, we love to see that white smoke, right? So just kind of interesting to see the firefight from this perspective as we are literally above it, Mark and Irene.
It is very interesting to see their strategy on how they handle each individual home. I mean, earlier we were also hearing chainsaws, Kevin, and they already have the defensible space, but I'm assuming that they were trying to clear additional brush and vegetation that could have posed a threat to this home.
Yes, yes, and that's kind of what they're doing here. They're looking at the brush because if you look around, even though so much has burned already and this Palisades fire has just taken acre after acre, I mean, just look to the right of those flames and where all that smoke is coming up. There's more vegetation. There is still a lot of fuel up here, so that's why this is not going to end anytime soon, and that's why this has already been such a long firefight, and why this is going to be continuing to be such a long firefight, because there is just so much brush that can still be burned. There is still just so much brush that is so vulnerable right now.
And so much of it about conserving the water. The firefighter was telling us earlier, no need to waste the water if they're there, if they can control it. And look, if it burns now and they're there, that means it's not going to burn again. So and you saw that firefighter right there almost lose his footing, kind of speaks to the terrain and the conditions that they're working in. All of it is so interesting. I know when we go to a fire and you're on scene, you kind of look to the posture of the firefighters and see, you know, how are they moving? What is their concern level? And seeing these guys here, it almost makes you feel a little reassured that they're ready, they're prepared, they got their hoses, and when needed, they use them, but they're not blasting the water, which perhaps, you know, speaks to the situation, speaks to the lack of an intense wind event right now, because we know the wind is going to increase more. Kevin, that being said, have firefighters at all conveyed to you any need to leave the area, or they think you're okay?
So here off of Westridge, these homes, Mark, we've not seen any residents. We've not seen any homeowners here. I think most people have already left because these flames are so close to some of their homes. So I do have to kind of jump off of what you were saying about how strategic this all is. Even though, I mean, we are feet away from homes here, these flames. I mean, so close, so close. I mean, this fire is in a residential area, but there's no frantic energy from these firefighters. There's no panic. They are cool, calm, and collected as they kind of get in their position.
How bad would 100-mile how bad would 100-mile winds be at this point? It would be devastating. It would have already lit. It would have carried embers all the way onto all of these houses. Wind is always devastating in these fires. It carries them miles and miles away potentially. It makes it infinitely more difficult to put out.
Not even only LA City. I mean, LA County, of course, as well, but the mutual aid, these fire departments that are coming not only regionally, but from beyond. It is.
Why does it feel like it'll only get worse?
That
right
effort.
now,
that's amazing. They come from
right
North
now,
Cal, they come from other states, and
it does
they
feel
really
like
do help
that
with this
because
firefighting
the
effort.
winds are going to pick up
Kevin,
again.
You've been